This is Bloomberg UTV.
This is Talkback. I'm Hindol Sengupta, returning on my show, really the grand old man of Indian law. Delighted to welcome once again on Talkback, Ram Jethmalani, the one and only Ram Jethmalani. Thanks very much indeed for returning on the show, sir.
Pleasure.
Let me begin by asking you a question that many people across the board want to ask people of your eminence. Have the judges in our country become, the law unto themselves? Why is there such a big crisis today in India about judicial accountability?
You see, partly it is inevitable because the judges of the apex court are final, therefore also infallible.
That's right.
It's not the other way around that they are infallible, therefore they are final, but it's the other way around. They are final, therefore infallible. Now, therefore, they do sometimes create the impression that they are a law unto themselves. I mean, they are the declarers of law.
Correct.
But people forget that they apply existing law and their law-making function is confined only to those gaps in the law where the legislature has not used precise phraseology.
Right.
And there is scope for judicial interpretation. So it is true that judges make law, but they make law only in a very limited sense. But the people have a feeling that they sit there like masters, they are unaccountable, they don't face elections, they don't face any questions from anybody. Anybody insults them, it is contempt. So therefore they think that they are a law unto themselves. But this is a very wrong picture of the judiciary. And I tell you that most of our judges in their private life as well as in court, they behave with great humility.
That's right.
They don't display their arrogance or their greatness or nothing of the kind.
Correct. But what has happened in the last few weeks or indeed months, beginning really with this entire issue of whether they should declare their assets or not, and right up to the point where we are now talking about what kind of disclosure protocol must be applied to judges. What has caused this? What has caused this entire accountability issue?
I can tell you that the judges anxious to preserve their sort of holy halo didn't want to subject themselves to A, malicious attacks from people, B, irresponsible inquiries from people. All right, judge says I have got this house. What prevents a man from asking, how did you get that house? Even though it is very easy to explain, but the judge will be sitting and answering these questions instead of delivering judgments in court.
That's right. Yeah.
The judges who are trained to ask questions will have to answer other people's questions. So the reluctance of judges I understand, but I think that on the whole they took a slightly wrong line. It was ill-advised, and now that they have gone about half the way, I think the remaining half will also be cleared. And judges will always respond to public opinion. I don't think that they can for long resist public opinion.
Let me then ask you, is there a double-edged sword to asking for greater legal accountability, especially from the judges?
Well, it is a highly responsible task, and depending upon the caliber and character of those who take on that self-appointed task, it can be very dangerous.
Asking for greater accountability.
Yes, it can be, because you might be able to intimidate judges.
That's right. Yes.
You might be able to blackmail them. You might be able to project them in a bad light. So one has to touch this delicate institution with some amount of care. You cannot possibly treat them completely on a par with other bureaucrats or politicians.
Some people believe that especially with this entire declaration of assets issue, and now of course there were great question marks being raised about the assets of some judges, one particular judge also, and after that finally, at this disclosure in the Ambani case of a relative of a judge working for a particular legal firm, it has opened in accountability terms a can of worms. Would that be correct?
Not at all. No, I don't agree. Because a judge only knows that his daughter is working in a particular firm, but he does not know the clients for whom that firm works. Now, this will be too much of a burden to cast on the judge. I mean, it may be that somebody might accidentally tell the judge, oh, your daughter is in that firm which is working for RNRL, and then that sort of gives him a warning signal.
That's right.
That I might be misunderstood. So in this case, of course, I don't know how the judge came to know on that previous day, but I don't find any fault with the judge at all. Nothing at all. And he's a judge of very, very, very high, unimpeachable integrity. There's a disclosure rule. And that is why Mr. Justice Raveendran, on the very first day when he sat on that bench, he told us that he has the shares. Now,
That's right, yes.
that's a matter
Correct.
which does amount to, in a sense, a disqualification.
Correct.
Though according to me, that also is a rule overused.
Yeah.
4, 5, 10 shares, 100 shares, what does it matter at all? Doesn't matter. And I think the best thing is for the judge to dispose them off one day before.